Good afternoon, traders. Welcome to the live stream. Hope you're having a good trading week. Hope your personal life is also wonderful. Hope you're all well. Guys, we have got loads to get through this week, right? In this live stream. I want to show you how I've added to a couple of trades, right? I'm going to show you that. We're also going to take a look at a new trade that I got into since we last met on Tuesday and how it was a bit damage limitations when we started selling the yen. Right, so we're going to look at all of those things because we can learn something from all of those different scenarios this week. What else are we going to do? We're going to take as many of your questions as humanly possible. And this week, guys, I thought I would pick a particular topic for the questions. And the questions this week are going to be about trader mindset. So you can either ask me about trading and some of the psychological issues you have with trading and what particular mistakes you make, right? So we can look at that and look at some solutions. And or you can share what works for you, right? So leave all of your questions, all of your comments in the comments section. Who would have thunk it? So please do that, guys. And also, guys, if you want to ask anything about trading as well, you can also do that. What else did I want to tell you before we get started? I have not been feeling 100% today. A little disclaimer there. I won't go into details. It's not pretty. But yeah, I'm not feeling great. Anything else I wanted to share since we last met? No, that's about it, really. So let's start, guys. Let's get stuck in. And let's... okay, I've got a massive message here. So yeah, guys, leave a question, but let's get started. Now, we're going to start with a trade that I got into. All right, I got into this yesterday, and this is Euro Canadian dollar, and we were selling this. Okay, so let's understand why we're selling it. So if we go to the daily, right, you can see that we are, well, we were, let's just follow structure. So we were in this uptrend, and then bang, we're in this downtrend. Okay, and now we're in this kind of downtrend, right? Lower highs. Yeah. These lows are holding. So we're kind of in a downtrend stroke range now. And the idea is to come from the top of the range back down to the bottom, right? Makes sense. So that's where we're at with this trade idea. And at the top of that range, if I zoom in, you can just see all the top wicks, all the rejection we keep getting. Now, I've given my stop loss a lot of space because it might want to come up and test these highs. And then you end up with a wick that looks something like that, right? So my stop loss is well out of the way to deal with that. And like I say, we just want to come back down to the next piece of support. And that's it, guys. So all I did on, if we look at the H4, you could also see that we had a bit of a structure break, right? We were kind of, in this sideways and then bang, right? We broke down this low here, broke these lows in here. And as long as we don't start breaking these highs, this trade still looks all right. Okay, and the idea is still to come back down to here. So I basically traded it once we got a retrace into this level. You could see some sellers coming in, and I entered. So that is the most recent trade that I've got into, guys, right? Euro Canadian dollar. Yeah, while we're on the euro, let's take a look at euro yen, because the yen gave me a good beating, right? Not really a technical term, but, I entered a couple of yen pairs, euro yen and Swiss franc yen. And this yen strength just went ballistic. This yen weakness just went ballistic. Now, euro yen, I didn't quite get stopped out, right? So price came up and then it come back down. And then I basically started exiting the trade here. All right, so I lost around 0.5% on this trade. Okay, so that is a good example of managing the trade, right? I've saved myself potentially 0.5%, right? I didn't get stopped out. I closed the trade here. So euro yen, I was able to get out of it, whereas Swiss franc yen, I just couldn't, right? Literally, I entered the trade the previous day because I remember explaining why I like this level. And this level, the irony is it's still going to look like a good level. And I'll show you why in a minute. So I just started entering. And then basically when I woke up the following day, price was here. You know, in hindsight, you know, maybe I could have got out there. You know, in hindsight, that would have been the right idea. But, you know, price was here. I'd seen this wick reject that level, you know, so I thought, okay, potentially we could get some downward movement and I'll just get out here. But as it happens, price shot up. There was more yen strength and we got stopped out. All right. So, yeah, that was just recapping those yen trades we took from Tuesday. And what else did I want to show you? Yeah, I want to show you how I'm trading the Swiss franc pairs that I am in as well. Let me just take a look, guys. Let me just see. And guys, please don't forget to leave a question, leave a comment, come say hello. Today we're going to talk about trader mindset. So any questions to do with that, please leave them in the comments. Let me have a quick drink. Right, so yeah, Swiss franc pairs. So if we go to Canadian dollar, let's go to New Zealand Swiss franc, because I've already added to this position. And let me explain why. And I've highlighted where I've added to this position. So again, this is more of a weekly trade, right? I like this from a weekly standpoint. Okay, we are in a weekly uptrend. Okay, and this is where we're at, right? And we bounced off of this trend line, okay? And this support level through here held as well. So the idea would be to potentially take it all the way back up to these highs, right? If we drop down to the day chart now, right, things are looking good, okay? There was a couple of days where we're getting some top wicks, but yesterday, big bullish candle, right? It's looking good. This is my first target. I'll take some profit and then I'll leave some profit to run up to here. All right. Now, on the H4, right, you will see that we have had a break of H4 structure. Now, when I entered, I was here. And this was against H4 trend, or really H4 trend was ranging. Okay, so I basically entered right there. And my stop loss wasn't here. My stop loss was down here. It was well out of the way below this low, right? And I was looking to get 1:1, right? Now, as the week has progressed and this has moved into my favor, and specifically what I'm looking for is a break of a key level. And you can see this level through here. In fact, let me draw it in. All right, so you can see this level through here. These are basically the last H4 highs, right? I mean, you could even say these have been broken as well, right? But this seemed to be a considerable resistance level. Okay, bear with me. I'm not feeling great. And then we got this candle that broke those highs, right? The body of the candle broke those highs. So all I did was wait for a retrace. I entered, well, not entered. Well, I did enter again, but let me explain, right? Now, from me moving my stop loss to here, I've done that because we broke H4 structure. And in doing that, I reduced my risk by around 0.6%. Okay, now I can put that 0.6% into this buy trade here, right? So I have bought again, right? But at the same time, my risk remains 1% because we've reduced the risk, and all I've done was add the risk reduction into a buy trade. And this is where we're at, guys, right? So I've added to New Zealand Swiss franc. Those are the reasons why. And again, guys, if you want numerous tutorials on how to manage trades, then please come join our VIP Discord. Please come join the free Discord, obviously, right? It's totally free. We've got the VIP Discord. Also, go check out the website, www.simply-forex.com. On there, you'll get access to all of our premium trading education. And please go check out the promo we've got running with Pepperstone. It is a no-brainer of a promo. Come join the Discord, go check it out. All the links for everything are in the video description. I had to think where they were there. And I'm going to do the same. So that's New Zealand Swiss franc. I'm going to do the same with Canadian dollar Swiss franc, right? If we get this H4 structure break, right? So you can see, again, I've entered here, right? Let's understand the entry quickly. Again, this was a weekly trade. And all this is we were in a downtrend, we're in an uptrend, and price keeps testing this level, and we keep getting big bullish candles, right? This is the weekly chart. So that's telling me we can at least come up to here, all right? If we look at the day chart as well, it's more of a weekly trade, to be quite frank, because this is in a downtrend. So this is a weekly trade. Okay, and on the H4, I just entered here. All right, so I just entered here, put a stop loss well out of the way below these lows, right? But again, now what I'm going to do is add to this position if we get, let's say we get a candle that looks like this, right? Then what has happened is we have had a H4 structure break. There's also a bit of a trend line down here as well, right? That's the worst trend line I've ever drawn. But you get it, right? Once we break this high, we've already broken that trend line. Nice bullish candle, right? I will add to this position because what I'll do is reduce my stop loss to here. And then what I've saved in risk, I will add to this buy trade. So there you go, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to share those, basically, guys, I want to share my trades as they unfold during the week. And I'll share all of them. I'll share my winners. I'll share my losers. This isn't a channel about, just cherry picking the best trades known to man, right? You can see every trade that I take in the VIP Discord. Very open and transparent about what we do, warts and all. There's losing trades, there's winning trades, right? There's indifferent trades, shall we say. So, yeah, guys, if you want access to all of that, come join the Discord and the VIP. Right, we're getting some questions coming in now, guys. Just to remind you, guys, we're going to take all questions, but specifically about trader mindset, if we can. If you've got any trader mindset questions, yeah, please leave a question in the comments. And we've got one from Dan the Gooner. So Dan the Gooner, morning, Tom. What was the biggest? So it's morning in Colombia. Yes, it is. Morning, Tom. What was the biggest psychological hurdle you had to overcome to become profitable? Right, we're not going to do psychology questions now. No, I'm only joking. It's a good question, but my mind has just gone, that is broad. Probably the biggest one was accepting a loss, I would say, right? Because again, right, trading is not like anything else, okay, you know, let me start from a different standpoint, right? So accepting a losing trade, right, was the biggest one, because what I would do as a new trader, right, I would, whatever my strategy was at the time, you know, the strategies back in the day were a lot indicator based, and you know, my charts were a mess. And then I later got success with, you know, price action trading, right? But we're talking about psychology. Now, I would do everything according to my strategy and my money and risk management, right? So I would follow my strategy to the T. I would, you know, follow my money and risk management. I'd risk 1%, right? And when I entered the trade, my psychology was good because the first two factors were good, right? I'd followed my strategy and my money and risk management. If they're good, your psychology is normally pretty good, right? So I'd enter a trade and I'd think, Tom, well done, you're trading well. And then that trade wouldn't work out, right? And it would just raise a lot. I'd be like, why didn't it work out? What's wrong with my system? You know, what have I done wrong? I would get frustrated. I would get angry at the market. I would, you know, do a lot of things you guys have done, I'm sure, right? And then, you know, after the dust settles, it doesn't matter what strategy you have, you will have losing trades. So stop trying to perfect your strategy. Yeah, because then I'd go off and I'd be like, right, if I add another indicator here and then I can do this here, if I stop doing that and then I add this, and you know, before you know it, I've gone round in circles trying to perfect this strategy. And ultimately there was nothing wrong with the strategy, right? The strategy was working well. It was giving me a good percentage return. It's just that I would want to eradicate all losing trades, right? And there is no system in the world that eradicates losing trades, right? So that is the biggest hurdle. It doesn't matter what you do or how well you trade, you will have losing trades. And what it also used to do for me is make me revenge trade, right? So I'd be like, right, I got a losing trade. I can't believe that was a losing trade. You know, F you market, I'll show you. And then I'd revenge trade. And then sure enough, that trade would lose money, right? And then before you know it, you've had a real nasty day. Okay. So yeah, accept losing trades, right? It's going to be, you know, part and parcel of any strategy. There are, I'm sure there's loads of other psychological hurdles, but let's see if we've got some more questions. But for me, that was the big one. Hi, Lee, how are you? Brett's got a comment here. Your job isn't to win every trade. Your job is to execute your edge consistently. Yeah, 100%. That's all I talk about, right, is performance, right? In fact, we've done a little short, funny vid today. I think it's on Insta or something, so one social media. The irony is I don't even go on Insta. That's what I was chuckling to myself the other day. I have a Simply Forex Insta account, but I don't go on Insta. I've got about 2 friends and 1 picture, whereas Simply Forex, reasonably popular, not overly. Anyway, yes, right. Your job isn't to win every trade. Your job is to execute your edge consistently. So what does that mean? That means focus on your performance, right? What you can control is the following, right? You can control your strategy, where and when you enter, why you enter, where and why you exit, how you manage the trade. Those are all in your control, and they should be written beautifully in your trading plan, right? And your trading plan should be very thorough and encapsulate, word of the day, encapsulate all of those things, right? Secondly, you can control your money and risk management, right? So if you risk 1% a trade, risk 1% a trade, right? Don't all of a sudden change it to 2%, right? So you can control those things. And if you control those things, it massively helps with your psychology because you can control that. If you start making errors in your strategy, you know it's not a top-notch setup and you take it anyway, that causes psychological problems. If you decide to risk 2% instead of 1%, that causes psychological problems, right? But if you do the first two stages correctly, so it's very difficult for psychology to get involved, and therefore you control your psychology. So ultimately, you can control your trading edge, which is your strategy, your money and risk management, and your psychology. Now, what you can't control is the result, right? It could go north, south, sideways. It could do a backflip. You know, the market can do whatever the hell it likes. It doesn't care about Tom. It doesn't care about Brett or Dan Laguna or Lee. It don't care about you. It can do whatever it likes, right? So, you know, don't blame the market. Blame yourself for not controlling what you can control, right? And also on that point, if you perform well every day, I would even say, can I say this? Regardless of what your strategy is, I'm going to say it. If you perform well, you will get consistency, right? So focus on performance. Stop trying to control the future, right? You can't. Not even if you've got a crystal ball, right? My crystal ball stopped working with the yen pairs, unfortunately. Okay, so Lee's here. So Lee, I'm not Tom, just chucking in my penny's worth. Lee, this is what it's all about. We want to hear your penny's worth. But for me, patience was the single biggest shift from inconsistent to waiting for setups. Yeah, that's a big one, right? Patience. If you had to if you could bottle patience and discipline, right, and pour it down a trader's neck, right, it was medicine, then, your trading would turn around like that, right? And also new traders, the older you, or not the older you get, the more trading years you have under your belt, and ultimately the older you get, you learn that your impatience costs you money, right? So again, if you know your weakness, attach financial value to it. So every time you make a mistake through impatience, right? You got in too early, you got in too late because you couldn't wait, right? Attach a monetary figure to it. So by me not having any patience today, that has cost me $200, right? Write that down. Tally it up at the end of the month. You'll be shocked at how much money your mistakes are costing you. I'm enjoying this trader mindset one. I haven't drawn on my charts, just chatting away, chewing the grass. Is that the saying? Yeah. So yeah, I agree, Lee. Broda, how are you, mate? Thank you for supporting the channel. I can see your name is in green. Mercy Buku. Okay, we're getting some good sayings here, right? So if you never learn, so guys on TikTok, we're getting these comments on YouTube. Okay, so the saying is, if you never learn to accept losses, you will never make it as a trader. Work on accepting losses and you will begin to see the market a lot clearer. Amen. Power to the traders. Okay, that's a big one as well. So Dan Laguna here has said, mine is letting profitable trades run to target rather than bottling it and taking profits early. This was a massive problem for me and still is, to be quite open, frank, and honest with you, right? This is why I take partial profits, right? If this is my trade, right? Well, it is my trade, right? But, let's imagine Yeah, let's just leave it like this, right? Now, I struggle with letting profits run. Let's find New Zealand Swiss franc, actually, because there's a little bit more room there. Right, here you go. Right, now, this up here, this blue line, these are typically my higher time frame targets, right? If we go to the daily chart, I hate it when my charts do this. Damn you, charts. Right, I would say, especially on the weekly chart as well, taking profit back up to here makes sense. Okay, now, if we go back to the H4, I take profit at 1:1 because I know my weaknesses as a trader, and one of them is letting 100% of the profit run. Right? So what I'll do is remember this was a 1:1 trade, right? What I'll do is price comes here, I will take profit. Now, arguably, right, I shouldn't take profit in here until here. This is my higher time frame target. But I'm a big believer in taking profit, right? So once price comes up to here, take some profit, right? You know, I normally take 80%, 70%, you know, typically, right? And then I'll let 20, 30% run. But what I'll also do is add to this position. So let's say price did come up and hit my target, right? And let's say my TP2's up here, which it is, right? Now, if I didn't take profit here and price come down and done this, I'll be like, why didn't I take profit here? So I take profit at this level, and let's say I took 80%, right? And before you're saying, you know, Tom, this is, complicated, or managing trades is complicated, it makes bloody sense to manage trades in a market that's very fluid. I not that I won't accept any arguments to the contrary. What I'm saying is something so fluid, it makes sense to take profits, move stop losses, trail stops, not move stop, but trail stops, add to positions, right? And this is what I'll do. I'll get here, take 80%. If it carries on and does that, great. I make another great 20% here, right? But if I take 80%, then it drops in here, I'll add that 20%. I might even add 100% again with a view to taking it back up to here, right? So it's not as rigid an answer is, you know, I don't let profits run. I do what makes sense to me. And what makes sense to me is take some profit. If it pulls back, add to it. If it doesn't and carries on, you're still letting some profit trail anyway, right? So I hope that, you know, I hope what I show you here, guys, I hope that makes sense, right? I mean, and another thing here is, guys, I would make more money, right? Let's say a trader does this, right? There's your buy, right? There's your stop loss, and there's your target. Let's say this is the TP1 now, right? So that is what? That's probably about a 1:1.5, roughly. I'm risking 1 to make 1.5, right? So the maximum you can earn on this position is 1.5. I will probably make more money than that trader if the trade comes up and hits target, right? Now, I too take the 1:1, right? So let's imagine, and I've added to this position. So even if profit, this I've added here, this is where I added. Now, even if price comes back up and hits this level, by reducing it, right, the stop loss, this is still 1%. Already, by adding to this position, this is probably about a 1:1.5. So by managing the trade, I'm already on par with the other trader. The beauty of it is my trade only has to go to this level, not this level, right? Let's say I didn't add to the trade, right? I buy in here, my stop loss is down here, and here's my target. Now, I didn't add to the trade. Price comes up to here, right? And I take 80% profit, right? Then when price pulls back into here, let's say I add another 20% profit in here, I can re-add that money, and then I can take that back up as well. So that will probably be around 1:1.5 as well, right? So the way I'm doing it is securing profit for that, for that eventuality where this happens, right? And this trader up here is thinking, oh dear, why didn't I take profit, right? So yeah, managing trades, guys, right? It is super. I mean, if you're scalping the 5-minute chart, it's not that important. But if you're trading, daily direction, H4, even H1, I would say trade management is the single biggest tool that will increase profits for you. I cannot think of anything bigger. It's even bigger than increasing your risk to reward. So yeah, that is quite a bombshell comment, but I believe it. Right, here we go. We've got a few more other people coming in. Poo Poppy, why didn't I get a notification? Poo Poppy, I don't know. So guys, if you want to get a notification every time we have a live stream, click the bell. Also subscribe, obviously, but click the bell and you'll get notifications, guys, right? You won't miss one. Right, let's have a look at a few other questions. Let me say hello to the TikTok massive. So gangster. That's Simply Forex. Broder. Okay, trading is 50-50. If trading was 50-50, so me personally would not make as much profit as I do, right? Every year my win percentage is, let's say, 56 to 60%. And that, depending on the number of trades you have, can lead to a very nice profit. Now, what the guys do with the indicator, so I don't know if you know about our Price Action Pro indicator, the guys are kicking ass in there, right? We've got a dedicated room for it and they're doing really well, right? And if you want access to it, again, all the links are in the video description. So it's very important for you to understand your trading statistics. So if your win percentage is 60%, right, and you have a 1:1 risk to reward, this is a thumbs up. Right, look at that. I'm getting better at drawing. Right, that's a thumbs up. You're going to make money. You've tilted the 50-50 slightly in your favor. Right, you'll make money. Now, the beauty of the risk to reward of 1:2, which is one of the main strategies on the indicator, is like you can be wrong a lot, right? So let's say, for example, so the way I typically trade, and obviously I build trades, guys. So my 1:1 isn't rigid, right? I've just explained how I will increase my profits while keeping my risk at 1%, right? But now let's imagine you've got a 1:2, but right, you can have a losing trade, winning trade. And at that point, you are break even, right? So if you think of the percentages, you only have to be right 33.3 reoccurring. You can see I've done maths there. You only have to be right 33% of the time to break even. Now, you need to know this about your own trading, right? So, again, if you push this up to 40%, again, you are going to have, depending on the amount of trades, right, you are going to have a very nice year. Okay, now the guys using the price action 101 are on something silly like above 60%, right? So they're making very nice money trading it. So, you know, and when you start pushing the risk to reward up to 1:3, right, it gets real crazy, right? You can lose, win, right? So that's, you break even at 25%, right? So anything over 25%, you're profitable, right? Anything above 25%, isn't that mental, right? If you think about that, you know, imagine a doctor doing brain surgery, and he's like, I'm wrong 3 out of 4 times. You're like, I do not want that dude anywhere near my brain. You wouldn't, right? You'd be like, Christ, he's going to kill me, right? But in trading, you can still make money if your risk to reward is right. Okay. So know your trading statistics, know your own metrics, and you can also almost do an element of forecasting as a result, right? You can almost forecast your year. You can say, right, generally I get about a trade a day. I normally make about 20 trades. My win percentage is this. My risk to reward is typically this. This is what I make, right? You can start forecasting what you make if you know your own statistics. Super important, that, guys. What else are we looking at here? Yeah, no strategy works without patience. Nothing works without patience. Imagine, you know, maybe you have partners, wives, husbands, boyfriends, girlfriends. You know, I had to be very patient. She was like, no, no, no. And then I got a yes after 12 years. I'm exaggerating. It wasn't that bad. But you know what I mean? You're like, anything worth waiting for is worth doing. Right? It's like trading, right? You will get rewards if you're patient. Starting a business, you're not going to make money straight away, right? Be patient. Let it take its course. Enjoy the journey. You'll ultimately make money, right? So, yeah. Okay, so what else are we looking at here then, guys? Yeah, Dan Laguna, this is another good point. Okay, so Broder's saying, yeah, let the trade come to you, 100%. Don't chase trades. It's the most expensive pastime you'll ever have. Let trades come to you, pinpoint levels, and trade them. Yeah, and here's another good point. So TikTokers, we're just taking some questions off the YouTube, right? So we've got a comment here. So I think for a lot of people, it's losing streaks. 5 or 6 in a row, which is really difficult to deal with. Yes. So I think it was October or November last year, I had a terrible losing streak, right? And I would be lying if I said that didn't affect me. Excuse me, guys. Right? Of course that affects you. It affects anyone. If it doesn't affect you, you're a robot and you'll probably do very well at trading. Proper frog in my throat. But the thing is, I know that my edge over time will still play out. I know throughout the year I can have a 6 losing streak, but I can have a 6 trades in a row winning streak. Right? Now, and I've traded long enough to know that, right? So I just, you know, stay as calm as I can and just keep trading my setups. And eventually that profit will come back round, right? Now, imagine you're a new trader, right? And I said to you, here's a system that I know works. And it just so happens on that month, right, it's the worst month in the entire year, and it's a -5% month, for example. You've had 6 losing trades, you had 1 winning trade in the month, right? You would be saying, I'm never trading that system again, right? But it's a winning system. It's because that trader doesn't know it, right? They haven't felt it, they haven't traded it enough, they don't have the faith in the system, and therefore they would never look at that strategy again. Don't matter if it gave them, don't matter if we proved to them that it gave them wonderful results, they'll be like, no, I can't trade that. It's not for me. And that is the problem with new traders. They try a strategy. It doesn't give them an immediate profit. They change strategy. That one doesn't give them an immediate profit. They change strategy and so on. And then you're just chasing strategies, right? So that is a very dangerous circle of doom, I call it, to fall into. Okay, let's have a quick, right. So we're getting loads of good questions in here, guys. Okay. There you go. January 2076 had a 74% win rate. And that's with a risk to reward of 1:2. You do the math. What else are we looking at here? Let's have a look at pound US dollar. Let's have a quick look at a chart, guys. But really been enjoying the mindset questions, guys. Really have. In fact, let's keep on the mindset questions. Okay, what else have we got? My bad. Okay. Just looking at some other questions. Okay. So Poo Poppy says, I normally use tight stop losses, so I just take the loss. This is psychology, right? It is. Right? You're probably thinking, how stop loss is psychology? Because Poo Poppy may not be very good at having super big stop losses and the trade takes days to play out, right? They would rather know straight away, right? My trade idea was either wrong or right in a very short period of time. So that's ultimately psychology, right? Now, read into it what you want, but in my pound US dollar sell trade, I entered here, right, stop loss up here, with a view to coming back down to here. Now, my stop loss is going to be far bigger than Poo Poppy's because I have had enough pain by being stopped out of trades, right? And I would rather so I either have a tighter stop and hedge or have a very wide stop and let the trade be and build it, right? And this is what I've done with pound US dollar, guys, right? So, I'm a believer in having big stop losses because it gives you options, right? Between here and here, right, I'm going to have a lot of options. Do I want to close it early? Do I want to add to the position, right? How do I want to manage this trade? Whereas if I enter here, which I did, and my stop loss is there, I have no options, right? So that's why I like bigger stop losses. It gives me options. And again, there's loads of tutorials in the VIP Discord, guys, so go check it out. Also, go check out the indicator, guys. If you want something really simple, mechanical, but is kicking ass, go check that out as well. And you'll be able to check out all of this in the Discord, so come join us. Also, check out the website and get involved with this Pepperstone offer. I don't even want to tell you about it. You just got to come and find out. It's such a good offer. All right, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for all of your great questions. Have a great rest of your trading week. Please don't forget to check out my weekly Forex forecast on Saturday. That'll be all the trades that I'm looking at for that week. And I'll see you next Tuesday for more live streaming. All right, guys, see you later.